Hey guys, Putt here bringing you the second match of week number 1 of Season 3. This match is between the Torres' Torkoals and the Josh's Jigglypuffs. So this is a good match. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the battle screen here. So on the bottom side of the screen we have the Torres' Torkoals. They are bringing a little bit of an ice team here. We have Alolan Sandslash and the Vanillix combo. Then we also have the Snorlax, Alolan Exeggutor, Salazzle, and Araquanid. So kind of an awkward, strange team on John's side, but I really like it. Then on Josh's side, we have the Nidoqueen Slowking. So with the king and queen right there at the beginning. Then we have Scyther, Emboar, Regigigas, and Gigalith. So I really like both of these teams. I think they're both really cool teams. They have some of my favorite mons on them. So I'm really excited to watch this match, or I was really excited when I watched this match. So let's just see how this one plays out here. Let's go ahead and make sure I got my music turned off. Okay, here we go. Alright, so we got Gucci Gang 3, Scyther coming out, and Araquanid. So he's going to U-turn. It does a lot of damage to this Araquanid, and as he goes into the Regigigas, and the Araquanid is going to get up a sticky web here. Alright, so this is pretty bad news for Josh's team. He has the only one that could potentially get rid of webs is the Scyther if he's carrying Defog. So we'll have to see if Scyther is carrying the Defog or not. But this Scyther did a pretty good chunk of this Araquanid with that U-turn. So now he goes for the liquidation on the Regigigas. He's just going for a suicide Araquanid. He is carrying the Splash Plate. So getting rid of that Splash Plate will help the Regigigas stay alive a little bit longer. But John just wants to keep his Araquanid in and try to get off as much damage as he can with it. And he does get off a lot of damage, as he's almost able to take down Regigigas by himself while also getting up the webs. Now John is going to go into his Vanillix and just get rid of this Regigigas if he can. And so he's just going to, and Josh is going to let his Regigigas die. There's no reason not to. Slow start was close to coming up, but wasn't quite there. What I would like to see him do maybe instead is if he would have led Regigigas. That way he would have had like an extra turn of slow start because of the sticky web turn. And so he might have been able to do more if he did that, but maybe not. So anyways, in comes the Slowking because he can easily take a hit from the Vanillix. As he goes for a Toxic, and he just switches into Sandslash, so good switch on John's part. So Sandslash is going to set rocks, which is a really big problem for that Scyther. Also considering there's no way to get rid of them, those rocks are really bad news for him. So the Sandslash is going to Earthquake the Slowbro, and it's going to red card him out to a Alolan Exeggutor. I'm not exactly sure why he has the red card for. Maybe maybe to stop stockpile Snorlax or something, or I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it's for, but it does roll him out into Exeggutor, which is actually pretty bad for Josh because Exeggutor does match up pretty well against Slowking, obviously being a grass type. So now Exeggutor does go for the Seed Bomb and is able to kill the Slowking. I doubt the crit mattered. Slowking doesn't have the best defense, and Exeggutor's attack is actually pretty good. So now in comes the Gigalith here. And it is going to take the Seed Bomb and then explode to kill the Exeggutor. And I don't agree with this play at all, actually. I think this is a terrible play. I think if he goes into Nidoqueen here, he probably I don't know if he's like running speeding Exeggutor or not. But even if he doesn't outspeed Exeggutor under webs, Nidoqueen can still take any hit from Exeggutor, and then it can return KO it. But instead, he loses his Gigalith for it, where I think he could have just gone into Nidoqueen and done the same thing and still had Nidoqueen alive, and also still had Gigalith alive to potentially explode. Because I like the Gigalith set of Sturdy Explosion, like the 1-for-1 set. But I think here it used poorly because there's a lot bigger threats than Exeggutor. Like even Scyther can come in and kill this thing. I mean, he doesn't want to take the rocks damage, but Scyther can come in and kill it with an Aerial Ace. Nidoqueen can come in and kill it with an Ice Beam. I think there's better options than what he did. I would have liked to seen him save Gigalith for the Snorlax, or to get rid of this Vanillix. That's such a huge threat, or even well, I mean, he has a really good matchup against Salazzle. If he gets off like a Rock Slide or something, he can kill it pretty easily. So I don't like the way he uses Gigalith there at all, but we're going to talk more about Gigalith towards the end of this match. But we'll get there. So now comes the Nidoqueen, and it obviously is in a bad matchup here under the webs. Nidoqueen is already middle tier speed, and under webs it's slow, and it just gets one shot. So this is where I would have liked to see Nidoqueen just come out against the Exeggutor instead, because like let's say Exeggutor hits Nidoqueen, does a good bit, but then Nidoqueen kills it in return, and then he comes in Vanillix and revenge kills Nidoqueen. We'd be in the same position we are now, except Josh would still have Gigalith alive. So I don't like the Gigalith play at all. And so I think honestly was where the game really turns bad for him. So in comes the Emboar. And Emboar is able to go for a Flare Blitz here, and he's able to kill this Sand Slash easily. So now John's got to figure out a way to get around this Emboar here, as that is a huge threat to his team. So he goes into his Snorlax, and Snorlax cannot take a hit from this thing. But the superpower is actually pretty good, because by forcing Emboar to lower his attack, it's not as threatening of a opponent now. Now it comes to Salazzle, and Josh is trying to get a Sucker Punch off onto him, but the Salazzle actually goes for a Toxic. And I actually don't like this play from John. I actually think it's a pretty bad play, because I think it's pretty risky. Because if he goes into Scyther here, he would take he would never, switching to Scyther would be kind of suicide from Josh's side, just because if he switches in Scyther and you expect Salazzle to go for a move, it's obviously going to kill Scyther, and then you just have Emboar. So you're in the same position you were, except you took more rocks damage on your Emboar. So it makes no sense for him to switch, but at the same time, if he would have, and he only Toxic the Scyther would have then been able to outspeed, get a ton of damage off on the Salazzle, and it actually Emboar probably could have won the game by taking a hit from, because this is Assault Vest Emboar, so I probably could have taken a hit from the, because see how much that Sucker Punch did? I mean, he could have, Scyther would have been able to bring him down within Sucker Punch range if he did switch to Scyther there. So I don't like the Toxic play at all. And so now Josh is going to go for a Wild Charge. I would have liked to seen him have something to hit this thing with. He doesn't have any super effective moves to hit it with, though. So he's not able to get rid of it as quickly as he would like to. So now it comes to Scyther, and Scyther can easily finish this thing off with the Scarf. And it does kill the Salazzle, and now it just comes down to the 1v1 between Vanillux and Scyther. So Scyther does outspeed with the Scarf, and it does a clean 57%, but it's not quite enough, as the Blizzard does easily kill, and John's able to pick up the 1-0 victory. Overall, I think I don't like Josh's approach to this game with the Gigalith in particular, because I think Gigalith actually was probably the key to winning this game. I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, but with the Vanillux, those are obviously can start a weather war. But and I think Josh was kind of afraid to get into the weather war, because you think about ground Pokemon usually losing to ice Pokemon, and that's true. But at the same time, by not bringing Sandstream on his Gigalith, he just let John win the weather war instead of trying to fight it. And so I think that was actually pretty badly played, especially considering. Gigalith, I think, was actually the key to winning this game for Josh. If he runs max HP, max special defense, Sandstream Gigalith with Assault Vest. I'm gonna look at the calculator here real quick. I'll show you. I will show you. Give me a second. All right, so this is specially defensive Gigalith with Assault Vest and the Sandstream, and so this is Vanillux over here with Choice Scarf, Modest. So whenever Vanillux hits the field, if he switches into Gigalith, Gigalith is going to change the weather to Sand. So now it gets a 50% boost to its special defense on top of the boost from his Assault Vest. So with that being said, Blizzard then becomes a possible 5-hit KO in the Sand for Vanillux on Gigalith. So it will do a max 20%. So essentially that means it's a possible 5-hit KO even if it hits all 5 times, because in the weather, in the Sand, Blizzard is no longer 100% like it is in Hail. So it'd be a 70% move, and he would have to hit it all 5 times to be able to KO him. So if he ran this Gigalith set right here, he easily switches into, every time John goes Vanillux, he easily switches into it with this set right here. And then, look, Rock Slide is a pretty good chance to 1-hit KO, or a Stone Edge is a guaranteed 1-hit KO. And he could have easily just gone into this. Every time he goes into Vanillux, go into this Gigalith, changes the weather, and then he can simply fire off a Rock Slide or a Stone Edge and try to either kill the Vanillux or do a ton of damage to whatever switched in. Or he could even switch into Gigalith, and then expecting the Vanillux to switch into somebody who could abuse the Sandstorm, like his Alolan Duck Trio, or like I don't know. He's got a few sandstorm abusers on his team. If he would have brought some of that, I think he actually could have won the weather war, because I think Jigglypuff actually matches up super well against Vanillix as far as weather versus weather goes. And so I think that was a pretty missed opportunity for Josh. And I think that's actually where he lost a lot of this game, was from not bringing this Jigglypuff set in particular. Like I said, I liked the other set that he ran of Sturdy Explosion, going 1-for-1, but in this game in particular, I think Sandstream, Assault Vest, Specially Defensive, Bulky, Jigglypuff would absolutely have just destroyed John's team, because Vanillix would have been useless. Every time it switched down, you just go straight into Jigglypuff, and then boom, all the momentum is back into Josh's favor. He can Stone Edge and just wreck something. I mean, look at John's team here. He doesn't have a lot of Stone Edge switch-ins. He could Earthquake. I mean, look at his Earthquake switch-ins. I don't see him. I think Jigglypuff was actually the main and most important mon for his team. I also don't think, like, Josh didn't have any plan for Sticky Webs. He just let them get set. You know, no taunts, no magic coats, nothing like that. Just let them get set, and that's really bad, especially considering he has Nidoqueen, who's already middle tier speed to begin with, and under webs it's really slow. So you know, I didn't like that either. So yeah, overall I think I do like his inboard set. I think his inboard set was really good with the Assault Vest, but I would rather have seen Jigglypuff Assault Vest and then ran something different on the inboard. And I think that combination of Assault Vest Jigglypuff with like inboard, he would have been way better off. And I think he actually would have won this game if he runs Assault Vest Jigglypuff, just because Jigglypuff can shut down this team in particular that John brought, by just forcing Vanillix out and getting Stone Edges and Rock Slides or Earthquakes off on the, because I mean Jigglypuff hits like a truck. I mean his attack's 135, so even non-invested he can still hit really hard. So anyways, that was a good game from those guys. I think Josh shied away from the weather war, and by doing so, he let John win the weather war, and that was the difference in the game, was that Vanillix was always able to fire off 100% blizzards, and he really had no answer to it, and that's why Vanillix was able to come up clutch in this match and get 3 KOs. But also, I got to tip my hat to John for playing around the Vanillix really well. He did a lot like Caleb did in the first match of the week. He knew Vanillix was really important to him winning this match, and so he kept it in the back, he kept it alive, he kept it healthy as long as he could, and then at the end of the match, when it mattered the most, he had his ace in the hole sitting in the back to finish the game off, just like the Primeape for Caleb. So overall, I think both of those guys did really well playing around their win conditions, and that's why they both came out with Week 1 victories. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.